nameframe.com. Welcome back. You're listening to Cindy Laverty Show on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Thank you for joining me. I just announced that I'm going to be starting My Care Movement. I create a Facebook page for it. So go to Facebook and click the like button and start posting comments, because we're going to start spreading care around the United States first, and let's move out to the world. If you're just joining us, my guest is Donald Altman, and we're talking about his book, 1 Minute Mindfulness. This is a really valuable book because we can all do the things that are in Donald's book. Donald, it's so great to have you here. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks, Cindy.
Okay, Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I think that, for me, the title says it all of this book, which is 1 Minute Mindfulness, which means we don't need to have a whole lot of time to make this happen. It can happen in the next 60 seconds. In the next 60 seconds, you can make that change. You can care for yourself. You could do something nice for others. And sometimes we think it has to be that big, huge event, monumental change. Well, it doesn't have to be a monumental change. It's in the next 60 seconds. It can just be a new awareness that turns you away from something that might be from an anxiety or a negativity, and lets you see something beautiful, the hidden treasures that are right before you in this moment.
Right. And you remind us throughout this book that we have a choice about how we act in that moment. Tell us more about what you mean by that.
I think that's one of the powerful and one of the really hopeful things about 1 Minute Mindfulness, as I talk about it, is that as we become more aware, then we can change how we respond, how we want to make a decision in this moment. This is about living intentionally, living on purpose right now.
Right. I think the operative word there is as we become aware. I feel like, people are sort of walking around in a daze. And
if we're exactly, and if you're in a blur, if you're in a daze, then you're not really able to wake up to what's happening around you. And I think that, this idea of just waking up in this moment, being curious about what's happening, and taking off the old filters. And often a lot of us walk around with a filter. It could be an old story.
Well, I told you about the gremlin. I have this gremlin that lives in my head.
Those are the gremlins. The old stories are the gremlins, right? They're living in your head. And that can stop you from seeing this moment. The cool thing in the way the brain works is that once we connect with the present moment, we pull the plug on the gremlin.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we pull the plug on the brain circuitry that is running the gremlin story, and we enter the flow, participation into this moment, and that's where we can really experience the joy that is waiting for us.
Right, absolutely. We don't think about minutes, 60 seconds being very important in our lives, I think, on a daily basis. But we never really get them. We never get them back again. They're there, they're gone, and then that's it. So why is the next minute so important?
I'm glad you asked that. And I think that if you were to live, think about this for a moment. If you were to live the next 60 seconds as if your whole life depended on it.
Right.
How would that change things for you? Where you were really looking at that next 60 seconds as if your experience was determined by how you respond to the next 60 seconds. You wouldn't take it for granted.
Right.
And you might open up your eyes and really see things that are around you and find new possibilities. If the gremlin is running in your head, you're going to miss out on what new opportunities or possibilities might occur, whether you're having a conversation with somebody and you're not really listening, you're not really there.
Right.
And so this is about bringing your full presence into what you're doing.
Is this something that is a learned behavior? Because I think we've been sort of conditioned to just go through the day, not really pay attention to what's going on. Just get up, go to work, pick up the kids, make dinner, go to bed, do it again.
Yeah.
So do we have to train ourselves to do this?
I think it is, it is something that we can learn. What you're doing when you're doing this is you're mastering the focus and the power of your attention.
Oh, I love
right?
that.
Yeah, because if you don't take control of that, everybody else is going to try to grab your attention, and they're very good at doing it.
And so
right?
that's what happens when we're not present in our lives.
Yes.
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
difference between walking through life and being present, right, Donald?
Yeah, and being present means that you're in control of how you use your awareness, where you place your attention. Actually, and think about this is both a very hopeful and a sobering kind of message. But how you use your attention actually sculpts the inside of your brain, shapes your neurocircuitry. So, do you want your neurocircuitry to be captured, and you want to? I tell people often that if you sit in front of the TV for 4 hours just kind of mindlessly, well, you're really committed to watching TV.
Right, right.
Our commitments are what we do.
Right.
And so think about it in terms of, is this what I want to commit to?
Sometimes it's nice to mindlessly watch something at the end of the day, but I've made an intention that I will never watch the news before I go to sleep. And I sleep better.
And tell me, why does that happen? That's a great point you make.
Why does it happen? Well, because
why are you able to sleep better?
Well, because if you watch news from 11 to 11:30 at night, what are you watching? You're watching murder, you're watching disappearing children, you're watching war, you're watching economic hardship. Nothing is good on the news. I think they should have good news at 11 o'clock. Might be hard to find, but I think they should have it.
That's a good idea, but and I think you're right. What you're doing is we're really, by the experiences we're allowing in, we're really, that's what we're feeding our brain. And if you're feeding your brain all that negativity, is that what you want before you go to sleep? I'm not suggesting that we, stick our heads in the sand and don't know what's going on.
Right, right.
You also need to be able to set boundaries around what can nourish me and how much of something do I really need to know.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because, most of us are not very good at setting boundaries. We set lines in the sand and nobody can cross it, but we don't know how to set boundaries. I don't think we were ever really taught how to do that. Do you?
Right. I think that's a big issue. And in my work even as a therapist, I see people who come in who, for instance, have a hard time setting boundaries. Example, when they come home from work, they're carrying work with them on their shoulders.
Right.
And they bring it into the house. And what is that? And it often is harmful to their relationships.
What do you do, Donald, when your office is in your house like mine is? Do I just close that door and say, that's it, I'm done with you?
I think you need to find a way to set a boundary within the house or a time when you can walk out of that door and then really leave it behind, or transition to something else. I talk about connecting with nature because nature is a really wonderful way to help us transition, and it is very nourishing, and it's a way for us to find a little moment of silence. Even if you sit for 30 seconds or a minute and look at a tree, and I suggest looking at the top of a tree and then slowly bringing your gaze down.
Right. So that can just be going out into your backyard, or it doesn't mean you have to go to the beach or go to the mountains
or
something.
Out the window. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Donald, I got to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I have a caller on the line for you. So stay with us. You're listening to Cindy Laverty's show. I'll be right back.